Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine today. I just thought I'd have a bit of a different live stream today where I'm going to talk about some studio gear for a change. I know, shock horror. But the reason is that I made a video about this little thing, which is a little cooling fan for Sony's, or in fact any camera, I guess, or a number of cameras that it will fit onto. And it's from Ulanzi, and it made me realise that actually I've got loads of Ulanzi stuff sort of lying around the studio, or actually more importantly doing jobs in the studio, and I don't really talk about it too much. So I thought it'd be worth mentioning, because these are often the little things that you find that you need in and around the studio, apart from obviously the major things like camera, mic, lights, and so on. So that's the plan for today, and I might as well start off by just mentioning this one again. I have had an issue with my Sony ZV-E10, I should say, shutting off from time to time due to overheating. Now there is a setting in the camera that allows you to increase the temperature threshold at which it's going to drop off. But nevertheless, I was still finding issues with it shutting off, namely twice during the last recording of the Creators podcast. So I thought there needed to be a solution. Unfortunately, Ulanzi have just bought out this little thing, and as you can see, it's just got like a little computer-style fan in it. Then on the front, it's got a charging socket over here because it has got a built-in battery, if I get the right size of it, and then it's got a little power button. And actually, there's a tiny little screen on it as well, which gives you a bit of useful information. So first of all, you can see, or maybe you can't, but there is a little temperature reading there. And that's because on the back, there is a small little thermometer. If I cover my eyes up so it focuses, just here. And the way that it works is you've got your camera like that, and it just sticks onto the back with these little suction cups that you can see on there. And then it will work with the battery. So it's got two speeds, 1 and 2, funnily enough. So there's a little indicator on here that tells you how full the battery is, and then there's a little 0, 1 and 2, and 0 being off. So when you first actually switch the device on, then it's 0. So the fan is not on, even though the little screen is on. But then if you press it again, it goes to fan speed 1 and then fan speed 2. And if I put it close to here, you can hear the sort of fan noise gets cut out with the noise gate, but you can hear the fan noise from it. Maybe if I do it this way. There we go, you can hear it that way. But obviously, you're not going to have it right onto your microphone. When it's away from the mic, you're not going to hear it at all. One thing to note is there was a load of people saying when this was first released, literally just in the last couple of weeks, that it wasn't sticking to the back of their camera. There is actually a film that comes with it, so a little sort of sticky back film that you put over the back face of the camera, because the back face of the camera is not necessarily completely smooth. There's also some little small sort of gaps in it where due to the build of the camera. So you stick this film on it first, and then this will just stick directly onto the back of the camera, and then it's pretty strong. Obviously, you can pull it off because it's just got suction cups, but once it's on there, it's not going to be falling off, or at least in my experience so far after a couple of weeks. As I say, it's normally on my ZV-E10, so I just hope that doesn't shut off while I'm filming this. But yeah, a great little product from Ulanzi, and it solves the problem that I was having. It's $40, so yeah, you can get it from the Ulanzi store. Everything that I'm talking about today is linked down in the description. I've also dropped a thing in the chat for just a link directly to the Ulanzi store. So while I've got this in my hand, this is my ZV-1, which is normally my top-down camera. So another thing that I've got from Ulanzi is this cage that's on it. So you can see how that looks. I haven't got a top-down camera to show you this because it's right here in my hand, but it's basically, let me just pull it up on the screen. This might be easier to actually show you this way. This is what it looks like. It actually clips to the camera via the lens ring here. So this whole sort of lens assembly here, as you can see, it slots over the front, and then there's a little sort of Allen bolt here that screws in to tighten that shut, or a little hex bolt, whatever you want to call it. It's got a little hand grip, obviously, so it makes it a little bit more sturdy to hold onto. But of course, it does also provide protection, which is useful because I dropped it just yesterday. One of the things that I've been doing recently is testing out the YOLO Live in-stream. So that was, I think, one of my last live streams, and I'll be doing a full review of that. Incidentally, the in-stream has just added in a new firmware update, has just added in multi-streaming. So now you can stream to multiple vertical platforms directly from the device. I say multiple, actually two. The way that they've done it is you've basically got two different instances of your Instagram app Facebook, Twitter, whatever it happens to be, so you can open 2 of those to stream to 2 simultaneously. But this is basically just a massive Android device, so it gets around the whole thing of not being able to stream to Instagram unless you're using their app. So you are still using the regular Android apps. But what this allows you to do is plug in your 2 cameras here over HDMI, and also potentially a 3rd USB camera as well. And then you've got lots of audio and so on. So anyway, I've done a whole video about this, or live stream, and I will be making a full review video. But I digress. The point is that I've been testing out some different things with this. So I've been playing around with different ways to mount it and so on. So what I've been using this for is actually the camera to go into that. So I've been taking it on and off the mount that is normally above my my head. But the cage, and so that's when I when I dropped the camera. Unfortunately, the cage took the brunt of the force there rather than the camera itself. The other reason for using this cage, though, is I wanted to be able to mount the camera in a slightly different orientation, which is instead of mounting it that way around, using the little quarter 20 shoe on the bottom, not shoe, quarter 20 bolt hole on the bottom. I wanted to mount it the other way round. Obviously in Ecamm you can flip cameras in any case, but it was more to do with just the position of the screen and the angle of the screen, so that when it was mounted up above me I could still see it, and also it meant that when I was playing around with the little menu commands, they were sort of the right way round for my fingers when I'm fiddling around with them when I can't see them. So using this cage, it gives you some other mounting options, because it's got a whole load of different mounting holes, so more on the bottom. It's actually got an Arca Swiss plate, so that is the method of sort of clamping to tripods. So it's got one of those sort of built in onto the bottom of it, which speeds up getting it in and out of those things. However, I use these Ulanzi claw attachments to attach my devices. So this is what those look like, and the thing about these is it's got the little quarter 20 thing there on the top. On the bottom it's got a whole series of different screw holes, and then you can just sort of squeeze it and pop out the thing there. There is also a lock on it, so it's not going to sort of come out when you don't want it to. Incidentally, this also is sort of Arca Swiss. I've got to keep covering my eyes, damn it. There we go. It's got that thing, and that's just this method of sort of clamping to tripods and different mounting devices. So I use these. I forget how many of these I've bought now, but I've got them on like all of my cameras to be able to quickly take them on and off, even the camera in the teleprompter if I need to make any adjustments. Trying to unscrew it from the teleprompter is a bit of a pain, but with one of these you just literally squeeze the thing and it pops off. On some of my lights that I tend to move around, like the lights in the background, for example, then I'll have those mounted on these. One thing that isn't Ulanzi actually is this little cable attachment that I've got on the side. So that's actually U-rig, but it does fit into the sort of standard spacing of these cables or these screw holes on the side of the Ulanzi cage. And what that does is it's basically the mini HDMI, and that plugs into there. So it's basically just doing the initial link between your HDMI and the camera, so that then you plug your HDMI cable into this instead of directly into the camera. And what that means is, because this is firmly fixed to the cage, then it means you're not putting any undue sort of strain onto the cable there. What I'll do though is I'll just pop this one back up in here above me, because this is where my top-down camera lives. So then I'll be able to show you some of these other things. So if I just plug in these couple of cables here, and then it will be connected to my computer. And this is what I love about this, is it's just so simple to connect it. I'm waiting for the camera to fall from the sky above my head, smash down on the desk as I'm demonstrating it. That seems like just the sort of thing that should happen, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to lock it in place. So there we go. So just like that, I've now mounted my my camera directly above me. So let's see if that scene is working or not. There we go. So yeah, there we go. There's my my nice coffee and my top-down camera. So this is the claw then that I was just talking about, and you can get all sorts of different versions of these actually, or rather, it's sort of integrated into a whole load of different things. So if I just take a look at some of those, here's the cage. This is what the claw looks like. That's the sort of top plate. You can buy the plates individually. You can buy the bases individually as well. So you can have these sort of dotted around the place and just sort of swap in and out things as you need to. There is also a ball head that comes with the mounting part sort of already fitted. So this is like a complete unit like this. And then they've got a whole range of other accessories that are all sort of used with this. This one just down here, if I just come over to that one, where's it gone? There was a picture there of the, that's the underside. Yeah, this is showing the, you can see there the Arca Swiss attachment. So that's where it just attaches onto the top of the tripod. So speaking of tripods, one of the things I was mentioning was that I was using this with this, and so I was needing a second tripod to actually mount this all to, and also needing a tripod for I'm going to be traveling soon, so wanted a way to mount this all. So I've got this tripod from Ulanzi as well. Let me just sort of drop it all down. At the moment, it's got this little contraption in the top, which is, you can see it's got the claw there. So that is for mounting my my camera into. This is for a light, and then this is my my Rode wireless to be plugged into the into this one, and this one mounts onto the side of the Ulanzi. But I'll just take this all off for the moment because this little thing also just pops out with the Arca Swiss, so that little little contraption. But this is one of their travel tripods. Now, I've been looking at various different travel tripods, and to be honest with you, all of the trend these days is for these ultra lightweight carbon fiber tripods, which are about $300 or $400. I'm thinking, do I really need a $300 or $400 tripod, and is the weight saving really worth all of that? And the decision I came to was no, it's not worth that much money for a tripod. So I've got this one, which is their let me see what it's what it's actually called. Their Ombra, I think it's called Ombra Ying. Great name. So this is their tripod. It's actually reduced at the moment, but it's basically $70. It's pretty lightweight. It is metal. It's not carbon fiber. They have got a series of carbon fiber tripods, and as I say, one of them's $350. There is the Peak Design. So Peak Design's another company that I love. I love their products. I'll talk about some of those a little bit later. But yeah, they're just quite expensive for these carbon fiber tripods. And for sure, if I was, you know, a vlogger walking around all the time carrying my tripod with me, I could see the advantage. But for the use case that I've got and the limited amount of time that I get out of my little hut here, it doesn't seem worth it. But one thing that I love about all the Ulanzi products is they all seem really well made and really sturdy, and this is no exception really. So there's a couple of versions of this actually. There's one that has got this kind of head, which is obviously it's got a little screw thread there, and you can turn this all around. There's another one that's more like a video style head where it's got the little sort of arm coming out, which is I think about $10 more or something. But this is really, you know, really quick to put up. It's got a nice little ball head on it there with the Arca Swiss, which means that I can also just drop this in. So this is just to show this sort of Arca Swiss connector here. You can just drop that onto here and then tighten it up, he says, if I can do it. There we go. And that's how that would then convert into one of these sort of claw attachments that you just be able to pop your camera on and off. Doing a hard job covering up my eyes today so you can see all this. But yeah, just great, really sturdy quality. And then it's got these quick release ones. Those ones where you sort of have to twist the, if you've got a tube and then you have to twist the little clamps. I find that they can be a bit hit and miss sometimes, but this one's just got these really sort of solid clamps. It is aluminium rich, and hey Michelle, sorry, great to see you. Sorry for not saying hello. Yeah, so it is aluminium. And then let's see how high it can go basically, because it's got this bit here. And then if it was standing up, it's a good sort of 6 foot 2 meters, something like that, by the time you pop this one up as well. That goes up there. So yeah, by the time you've got your camera on top of it, you know, it's well above sort of head height. So it's got plenty of height on it. You can also take this whole thing out as well. Let me just shut this up like this. This part here, there's a little hook on the bottom, and then you can take this out like that, and then it means you can sort of hang it underneath. So sometimes you'll see folks with their camera sort of slung underneath the tripod, depending on the angle that they're wanting to get. So this will indeed do that. Incidentally, the point about the hook is if you've got a tripod with a hook underneath it, it's actually a good job to, or a good idea to hang some weight from it. So if you've got like a small bag or something, hanging the weight from it actually does help with stability of the tripod. So that's part of the point of this, is that if you hang a weight underneath from this, then it's kind of like pulling down on the legs to hold it, help to hold it steady. So it's going to help prevent it from getting knocked over, but also prevent it from wobbling or anything like that. So that is the point of that. Whilst we're on tripods then, another one that I've got a few of these lying around is just this little guy here, which has got a little attachment on it at the moment. Let me take that off from something else I was doing. It's just this little extendable tripod. It's this one is plastic, or ABS or whatever the material is that they use these days, and it's this guy here. So it's like $20, reduced at the moment from $25. The MT16. They've got a whole range of tripods on their site actually. So if you go to camera gear and then go to where is it? Somewhere down here. They've got a whole series. Oh, in fact, they've got a heading right at the top here. So they've got a whole range of tripods, and they're various different types. So you've got some that are aluminium. Here is that lightweight one that I was talking about, $370. For me, that's a bit much for a tripod. I don't need something that costly for the amount that I use it. This is that other variant that I mentioned. So this is the one that we've just looked at. But then there's this variant here that's got, like an arm. So if you're sort of doing panning and stuff like that, with your video camera, then you may want to consider that one as well. But they've got the whole range of these small little compact ones. This is actually more like a light stand, by the way. So there's this one, which is carbon fiber light stand. So if you were, traveling and wanted a thing to put your lights on, then this would be an option for that. But yeah, lots of 47 different types of tripod. So what I use this one for, though, and to just mention then that they've got these, the carbon fiber end of things, then they've got the aluminium side of things, or aluminum side of things, and then they've got a whole range of these sort of lower cost, lightweight, but plastic type things. And what I use these for is actually when I'm traveling, which doesn't happen too much, but I'll use it for my Ulanzi, not Ulanzi, my Nanlite Pavo tubes there, and they're great actually for if you're on a Zoom call in a hotel room, because usually in a hotel room you end up sitting facing a wall at a desk and the lighting is just terrible. So yeah, to be able to illuminate your face on a Zoom call, then I just have those Pavo tubes, but there's rarely anywhere to actually put them. So I always pack 2 of these in with 2 of those lights as well, and so it's a great solution for just mounting those. It's got a little ball head on the top. Obviously, it's not intended for just lighting. I have used it with a camera before as well, so having it as a more like, you can use it as a sort of a selfie stick, that kind of thing, but with your camera on it, or just to get a different angle. It has also got a little cold shoe there, so you can attach something like a mic or whatever, and this also rotates. So if you want to have it out in front of you with a mic on it or something, you can do that, and then a little ball head, and then the mechanism on it is just this little screw head at the top there. But of course, as always, you can always add a Ulanzi claw to the top of it. They do one of these as well with one of these claws built in. So I think you can get a small tripod that has already got the claw attachment. But yeah, these claw attachments, I use them on everything basically. So yeah, that is the Ulanzi tripod. Another thing that I've used a lot, and this is another one of their sort of metal things. Just realised my monitor's encroaching on the screen there, is this guy. And when I was using my loop deck, which I've stopped doing since getting the Stream Deck Plus, but when I was using my loop deck, I actually had one of my Stream Decks on this. So this is just an iPad stand. But I had one of my Stream Decks mounted down there, and then I had the loop deck sort of mounted sitting above it. But it is a great stand for the iPad. I still use this now if I'm doing not so much for telestration, but if I want to display something on my iPad, then I'll use this. It's really weighty. It's a really great iPad stand, so solid. aluminium again, really sort of stiff as well. Comes with a little Allen key, so you can tighten up these little bolts here and here, and then this you can basically angle it however you want. So for a little desk standing stand for your iPad, this is a great option. One of the things that is in my Ulanzi list at the moment, so I was just going through looking at some things yesterday, and one of the things that I'm going to add in is that's the one that I've just shown you. 20% off today as well, it seems. I don't know if they've got some current sale going on loads of their stuff, but it does seem like there's a few things on discount. But they also do this version, so I'm going to add in this one. Because this would allow me to mount the iPad to the side of the desk and then have it sort of positioned somewhere. One of the things that somebody suggested, which was a great idea, is if you're using your iPad with sidecar mode, actually just drag your eCam comments window onto the iPad. So when you're streaming, you've got them in front of you. And then you can then presumably use the touch to actually just tap on the comments so that you want to bring up to the screen. The other thing that I use my iPad for, though, in a sort of streaming context, is for streaming to Amazon, which I've got to admit I haven't done a huge amount of late. In fact, I think my last stream was probably at the end of last year. So, but I do have a plan to restart my weekly Amazon live stream as well, and I've got some few thoughts on what I'm going to be doing on there. But in order to do your Amazon live streams, you need to have an iPad or an iOS device that you actually kind of run the stream from. It's all you're streaming directly from eCam or whatever platform, but actually to start and stop the stream, select products that you want to bring up into the carousel and so on. You do that all through the iPad app. And there's a couple of other use cases I've got where I'm using the iPad for something that is related to the stream or whatever, or the meeting, and I want to just have a good way to mount the iPad. So this is basically the same top part here as I've got on this one. So it's the same really sturdy, solid mounting, but it's just on a thing that is actually connected to the side of the desk, as opposed to this thing. So you can see the sort of similarity in the components there. They've basically just got this extra little piece in the middle, and then this way of mounting it down to the desk. So let's see where we're up to. And another thing, which was I guess probably the first thing that I actually bought from Ulanzi, was two little lights, and they're currently repurposed. So I've got one of them there that is sort of shining up on those mics, and one of them on the other side there, which is shining up onto that little clapperboard. So they're just kind of out of view, but they're these little guys, and these are great for sort of travel, I guess, as well. Although they're just sort of permanently wired in, and it is these. Now, the reason I bought these originally was when I started my YouTube channel, everything was green screen because I was in my basement and didn't want to go to any hassle or expense of making any renovations or changing everything in there to make it all look pretty like I've done in here. Well, that might be purely subjective, but there you go. But what I did do is I had this virtual background going on, and it had a sort of coloured lighting in the background. And so, as part of getting a good sort of green screen look, apart from having the haircut for green screen, one of the things you can do is to match your lighting in the real world versus what's going on in the background. So, because I had these sort of lights going on in the background, what I did is I had two of these small little Ulanzi lights, one on either side, that were sort of putting a shine of the background colours, so blue and purple or whatever it was, onto the side of my face. To sort of replicate what was going on in the background. And at $20, they were perfect for that. You can see that they're more meant for, they've got a little cold shoe there. They were more meant for sort of, using on top of a camera, so a video light for a camera. But they are sort of RGB, so you can change from either a whole range of, white from warm to daylight, and then you can change through the whole RGB spectrum. They're not going to be, massive, powerful lights, so you can see in the background, they're on kind of full power, so that's how much light they're giving out behind me. Those are two little ones, where is it there? But it's just enough to add that little bit of accent light. So for $20, if you're looking for a sort of low-cost light for using either on a camera or for some other purpose, then they are great for that. But I think that was probably the first Ulanzi product that I bought. They have just brought out a new light, which I'm probably going to be getting because, as I mentioned, I'm going to be traveling around a little bit. And this is this one. It's a portable 40-watt light. So this has got a cob chip on board, so it's like a proper video light. And the thing about this one is, as well as being able to power it directly, it has also got a built-in battery as well. And from all of the reviews that I've seen of it and all of the testing and so on, it does look to be a really great little light. And certainly from a sort of portability point of view, when traveling, there you can see the sort of size of it. It comes with this. You can take the front off it. It's got a mini Bowens mount, so presumably you can get some sort of other larger softbox or diffuser if you wanted, but it basically comes with this one, and then it's got this small little there you can see the size of it. It comes with this small little silicon thing on the front of it. Where was it? The little silicon diffuser there. But from what I've seen of it, it really does put out an awful lot of light. So great for when you're out and about, or maybe in a sort of mobile setting, traveling or whatever, which, as I say, is something I'm going to be doing. So that is definitely in my list of things. I just noticed I've got a cart full there that I need to check out with at some point. So the next thing that I want to talk about is sort of coming back to traveling just a second, is about actually a non-Ulanzi product, which is my tech pouch. Keely's just saying she streamed with those Pavo tubes and the Ulanzi tripod. It's creepy, is it? Why is it a little creepy? I'd be interested to know what you mean by that. To be honest with you, the iPad, when you're annotating, I always find that it's much easier for me to write when it's on the screen, on the floor. Let me get this right. I don't ever have my iPad on the floor. I can do pedals with my feet, but I'm not yet writing with my feet. I have my iPad flat on the desk. I always find that's better for writing. And although technically you could use this and put it down and stand it up, I just found that writing on an elevated thing was just a little bit weird. So I tend to just use my iPad with a little the built-in case popped up to give it just a little bit of elevation that way. And you've got those. Is that the tripods, isn't it? Those those little those claws. I know you love those too, Michelle. They're definitely life. Yeah, it's a great little light. It's so compact, like the actual size of the body, and the weight of it's pretty good as well. The battery life, I forget exactly how long it is. It obviously depends on how much power you're using. If it's on full power, I think it's like a couple of hours. But I mean, these lights that I've got in front of me, they're 60-watt lights, but there's an option in it to make them, and that's what I'm talking about here, is these ones. These are 60-watt lights, but there's an option to put them down to basically half power so that you don't get the fan come on. So I've done that. But then even then, they're not running at full power in any case. So this one here with this 90 centimeter 3-foot softbox is running at, I think, 90% of 50%, if that makes sense. So it's like at 45% of the whole 60 watts. And this one is at around about 20 or 30. So actually, although this is a 40-watt light, you may find that you're only using it at a fraction of its power. So then I'd be interested to see what the overall life is at those lower things, but I'm sure you get plenty of hours out of it, even just on battery. So fine for charging it up and using it for a live stream or whatever. You hate your big. The thing about this thing is you could certainly use it instead, but you're still going to get the issue with, the fact is that the size of the softbox dictates the softness of the light effectively. So you're going to get a good quality light out of it, but you've still got a small point source. So it's in exactly the same way as, in my lighting setup here, I went with a larger softbox for my key light. This one is slightly smaller for the fill light, but the reason for the size of it is to give that sort of even light over from a wide diffusion source as opposed to a small point. So although this does have a built-in diffuser, which is going to help reduce that sort of harshness to a certain extent, it's still only whatever that is, a few inches across. So it's not necessarily going to be a replacement in a full studio, I would guess, but we'll see. Yes, the iPad on the floor. So yeah, let me just talk about my mobile setup, and I'm going to talk about something non Ulanzi for a moment, which is my my go-to bag. This is my daily bag, and that I carry with me literally everywhere, like around the house, in the office, whenever I go out, everywhere. I mentioned just before the stream, Keely said, like, "Oh, am I going to be updating my my phone? It's the pre-order day." I'm still on an iPhone 6s, guys, so there we go. I'm not updating just yet. But the reason for that is I use my my iPad when I'm out and about, and I don't take phone calls. So I have got unlimited data on my phone, so my my iPad is basically just tethered. My iPad is my mobile device. But this is what I carry everything in, and it's from Peak Design. And in here, this is kind of like my mobile office. So I'll just mention a few things in here. I've got my iPad, obviously. So when I'm using a video pencil or whatever on the iPad, I'll tend to just have that sort of sitting on the desk like that. But with the iPad, another great thing which I'm still absolutely in love with, over the years I've tried so many folding keyboards, but this without a doubt has been the best one, and it's just, I'm using it almost daily when I drop the kids off at school, go to the coffee shop, and then I'm sitting in there with my iPad and this doing my work. What I love about it is that it folds out to the size of a full keyboard. And the other thing that usually screws up these things, maybe I should just move this a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe I'll move this out of the way, give myself a little bit of space. The thing that usually screws up, if I maybe zoom in, that might help. Zoom in on my my coffee. The thing that usually screws up these folding keyboards, though, is that you often end up with like a line down the middle of them somewhere, or where the keys are not the same shape. But as you can see, this is exactly the same size. The keys are exactly the same size as a regular Apple keyboard, down to the position of the arrows here. The same as this one that I use. The same as the the layout of the Enter key, the Shift key. The little modifier keys just down here, it is exactly the same, and also the function key. So that's something that's often missing on folding keyboards, and it's just got this really neat little mechanism, so you can see how the keys, you get to have these sort of full-size keys, because as you're folding it, it's actually folding like not in necessarily a straight line. They've got this great little pivoting mechanism, so it means that when you fold it out, it is completely almost seamless in terms of the keys, and it just looks like a regular keyboard. The other thing about it is that because it folds from these 2 points here, when you fold it out, you do actually have these little points, which mean that you can actually kind of sit with it on your knee. In a pinch, I don't prefer to do that. I'd like to be sitting at a desk or whatever, or a table, but you can actually sit with it on your knee because it's kind of supported there. When you do open it out, though, and you're using it on a desk, then it's also got these little rubber feet. So you can see how it's kind of slightly raised up just there. So you've got these little rubber feet on the side that you just sort of fold down. And that means then that also it doesn't slip round on the desk. So one issue that I had with other ones is, once you've got them, they're usually some sort of plastic or metal enclosure, but as soon as you are putting them down on the desk, then they're sort of sliding around, whereas these little rubber feet do a great job of solving that. You can connect it with up to 3 devices, so there's these little things here, and if you press this function key and then press 1, 2 or 3, you can then connect it to other computers. If you're not a fan of Bluetooth, sometimes people want a wired connection. There is actually you can connect it from the USB micro USB here. This is for charging it, but you can also just connect it directly to a computer as well, and then you're using it wired as opposed to wireless. So I have this paired with my iPad, my phone, and then also with my secondary computer. So if ever I'm doing a sort of demo or a presentation rather, where I'm using my second computer coming into my main computer, then I'll sometimes just pull out this as the keyboard to use with that. So as I say, I really love this. There is a version of this that has a backlight. So this one does not have the backlight, but that's not really an issue. This is the version that does. So it's called an iClever. Let me just pop that comment down. iClever BK05, and this one has a backlight as well, which you can either turn on or off. So that's the one that I've linked to in there. $53 ish. There you go. $52.99 at the moment in Amazon. Best thing that I've bought in a long time. And as I say, I've tried so many of these different mobile keyboards. You know, this dream of being able to just work from an iPad from anywhere. The iPad was always the thing that let it down for me. I'd never much for the Apple, you know, the Apple keyboard. But this one means you can still use your iPad just as an iPad with you know, a regular case or whatever. And then yeah, having this means that I can now work from anywhere with that. The other thing, just coming back to this this setup then in this this bag here, is I do actually also have an Apple mouse. I'm not really generally a fan of the Apple mouse at all. However, the reason why I got this specifically was you can just pair this mouse with the iPad. So and what that gives you is whenever you're doing screen demos of an iPad, then it shows up the little cursor. So it's actually great if you want to demonstrate things on an iPad to use a mouse with it, because that's then showing, you know, where you're tapping and where you're clicking. So that was my actual motivation for buying it. But because it's so slim and lightweight, I do keep that in there, because then when I'm doing things on, I'll often, believe it or not, edit my website in Kajabi, edit it on an iPad. And there's certain things that don't really work well in the Kajabi interface with touch. But if you've got a mouse, then you can get to like little submenus and, you know, right clicking on things and so on. So so yeah, the mouse actually works really well for my little mobile office in a bag, because it works with the iPad. And so, as I say, for things like that on Kajabi, then it's great for that. One of the things that I was not sure about when I first bought this Peak Design was if the iPad would actually fit into it, but it does. So I keep my iPad in one side, and then I keep my my keyboard in the other. The thing I like about this as well is it's got lots of pockets. I've got my Apple Pencil in there, a regular pencil. This is the tech pouch is designed for organizing cables. So you can see it's got all these different pockets that you can stuff all of your different cables in. I don't have a huge number of cables. I've got a few in here. My little gym pass, my little 70-cent wallet. There we go. And also my my car key and so on. And there we go. The pride of place, the Ecamm keyring with my house keys and so on. So that's all I really keep in there. Headphones are in there as well. But the tech pouch is great for organizing this kind of stuff. It's got all these different things in it. So this is actually the Peak Design Tech Pouch Mark II. So I did actually start with the Mark I, and I should just mention what the differences are. And then I've got something really weird to point out about these things on Amazon. So basically inside they are more or less the same. I think there's one difference inside. I can't remember quite what it is, apart from the change of the material inside has been changed slightly. But the actual layout of this one I do keep cables in. You've got these three pockets in the side there. You've got three pockets in the other side. You've got the two pen holders on either side. Then you've got these internal pockets. These two in here. You've got this one in the middle. And then if you open this up, you've got a thing to keep little connectors and SD cards and stuff like that. So the inside is largely unchanged. But what they changed from the... Oh, and by the way, there's a pocket on the side here that's got a pass-through into the interior. So I keep my my battery is in there, my power bank, and that goes through to this side where I then keep my my aging phone. But what they changed on this was there was these little sort of grab handles all over it. So you've got a grab handle on either side. That's where I usually, you can see that one's a bit stretched out now from I think I've had this one for I think about 3 years or something, so maybe 2, I can't remember. But yeah, this is what I used to carry it with, and I literally carry this round like with me as if it's a handbag. This is my man bag. But there was these sort of connection points here that you can connect their Peak Design little clips that are intended for camera straps, but you could also have it attached onto this, and so that was a way to connect a strap. But apart from that, and these straps on the bottom, you know, bear in mind that this is designed for your sort of tech gear, so you know, pulling it in and out of another bag. But if you are using it as I am, like pretty much like a handbag, then what they added in the Peak Design Tech Pouch version 2 is there is now this really sort of solid grab handle on the top, so you can just sort of pick it up by that. I have got some sort of third-party strap, so if I ever want to use this like as an over-shoulder thing, then I can clip it onto there. Really great, really well made. They've, I mean, they stand up to being thrown around. Literally, this is like going everywhere with me. So I'm constantly picking it up, putting it down, throwing it around, putting it down on the floor, putting it down everywhere. It's and it still feels, you know, really solid and well made. One weird thing though, when I went to get the the links for these on Amazon, the original tech pouch. So this is the Peak Design Tech Pouch V2 Black. Okay, so that is the new one with that new strap. What they've done is they've still got the original one round, but they've changed the name of it. Now you tell me what you think about this. They've changed the name of the original Peak Design Tech Pouch. Instead of Peak Design Tech Pouch V1, they've changed the name of it to Peak Design Women's Packing Organizer. What the hell is that about? Why is that a women's packing organizer when it's actually just the original version? It does not make sense. I don't get what they are doing there with that naming. So they've just basically, it's the exact same thing, but now they've decided to call this one a women's packing organizer. So that is on the Peak Design store. I don't get it. Whether they're trying to just come up with some sort of differentiation, because you can see how actually the original one, which is arguably not as full featured, is now $69.95. But the Peak Design V2, which is everything that the first one was, except it's got this extra strap, is actually cheaper. So if I'm you, I would go for the Peak Design V2 because it's actually just better. that's the bottom line. So it seems that they've just rebranded this one a women's packing organizer, and it's now at a higher cost. So yeah, not a big fan of that Peak Design. But anyway, I wanted to just mention, coming back to Ulanzi and Rich. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they didn't even make it pink. What's going on? I mean, it's just terrible, isn't it? I don't get it. How often do I go out and about working in coffee shops? Actually, pretty often, and it's all the things like the. I don't believe that you can. There was this trend with, you know, as iPads got better and so on, that you would get these bloggers that were talking about how, you know, you can now just work everywhere from your iPad, and it was this big thing that I noticed with a lot of tech journalists. And the thing to note about was that it is fine if you are a tech journalist who is largely just writing blog posts. It's very easy to work exclusively from coffee shops on an iPad if you are a tech journalist writing. That's very easy because all you need is the iPad and a keyboard. I do a lot of my, like, you know, responding to comments, responding to emails, a lot of the messages in Discord. You know, I'm often writing on my iPad, either in a coffee shop or in, you know, my kitchen or wherever it is, and just having this with me to be able to write like that is fine. I do things like website updates. I do a lot of planning of stuff in ChatGPT, for example. So I'll do that on my iPad as well a lot of the time. All of that kind of stuff I can do it on the iPad, but yeah, the actual kind of real work, and, you know, I don't do any design work in there. I'm not using the Photoshop mobile app, for example, to do thumbnails. Definitely not doing any editing because, well, I don't do any editing. But all of that kind of stuff, it's just largely for more sort of text-based stuff. That's the kind of thing that I do on my iPad. So I do find that there's some benefit to doing that, like getting out of the studio into a different environment. Then there's certain things that if I need to just sort of think about stuff, it's a great place for doing that, and, you know, ideation, making lists and all that kind of stuff. So I do quite a lot of stuff on my iPad actually. So yeah, with the Peak Design, just having been talking about that though, I will just mention that given that we've just seen that is $60, Ulanzi do have their own version of that. There was a lot of companies that came out with very similar products. So let me find where that one is. And it's this one. It's their Tracker Tech Pouch. So this is $40. And as you can see, it's a similar sort of affair. Inside, it's got these different pockets, slightly different design. It's not just a complete copy, obviously, but the same kind of principle of being able to organize all of your things. One thing that's slightly different about this is it opens out like a sort of, whatever you want to call that, clamshell design, I guess. And it'll open up like that. It's got the same sort of handle on there. Got some clips here that you can attach things to, and then similar sort of size, and just to show that it does fit an iPad into it. And you can see there, those are the little pockets. So it might be a similar sort of product that you may want to consider if you're thinking about the tech pouch, and you don't want to play the woman's premium that they've stuck on one of them. So yeah, it looks pretty good. I have got one product, which is all of these things that I've been talking about so far are things that either I've bought or that are in my my wish list or my cart, as it happens to be. Ulanzi did actually send me one thing for review, which I haven't reviewed yet. This was I received it about a month ago, but I've been sick. But it is this, which is their tracker pouch or tracker bag, which is a sort of shoulder bag. I was looking for something that was a little bit larger than the Peak design for taking like a mobile setup. And whilst this is great for my iPad and my mobile office, everything that I've got in here, and I can technically fit the one of the cameras, the ZV-1 or the ZV-E10 in there, although not with a prime lens. You can only fit the ZV-E10 in if it's got the built-in retractable lens. So when I was last away on holiday, I was taking the ZV-1 with me, and I'd have that in the bag as well, and it did sort of fit in. A bit of a squeeze, but it did fit in. But it's obviously not meant for carrying camera gear around. So this one here, I'll just mention this. If I just come over to this page, you can see a few of the pictures of it. This is obviously designed specifically as a sort of mobile camera bag, and you can see how you can fit a lens in it. So as I say, everything that I've covered so far, I've bought, and I'm a fan of Ulanzi, but they did send me this one specifically for review. So I'll be adding a review of this onto my my Amazon and maybe onto my main YouTube channel as well. But it's got a built-in strap. It would be nice if this strap would actually be detachable, but it has nevertheless got this. There's no sort of movement or no way of detaching this. It looks like that's like a large sort of press stud type thing, but it doesn't actually just easily pop off. Then the strap itself, one of the things about this, although the whole bag itself looks really great and the same sort of quality, similar material to the Peak design. So this whatever they call this, there's a name for it, some kind of nylon, but that's really sort of tough and hard wearing and slightly rubberized. The zips are all sealed. It has still got these kind of like plasticky clips on it. So I mean, that it's not necessarily a premium clip. One of the things I love about all the Peak design products is all of their hardware as well is on a par with the actual the actual bag, if you look at some of their larger bags. But basically this one has got a couple of compartments. So it's got a rear compartment which is for an iPad, and just to give you a context of the size compared to the Peak design, the iPad has got plenty of space in there. And one of the things I've been looking at this for is for carrying around something like that if I was going to do some sort of mobile thing going on when I'm traveling. But in the front pocket here, get that out, the little packing paper there, it's got a large pocket at the side, which yes, you can fit something as large as that in. Obviously I'll take off the little mounting there. That's got a little magnetic clasp as well that just clicks in there, and then in the other side we've got a zipper pocket, and that's got some similar sort of organization. Obviously this is not the tech pouch from either Ulanzi or Peak design is intended as a thing to organize your cables. This is more of a sort of camera bag, so it's not got quite as many different pockets in, but still plenty in there. But then it's got this little thing in here, which are common in a lot of bags these days, these little sort of folding origami style shelves, so you can sort of segment the inside if you want to have a place for your sort of camera and your camera lens to rest on there, or maybe you want to put some stuff underneath it, and then it's just sort of like a hard little extra bit of protection and something to give a bit of structure to the bag. And then finally there is a little zipper pouch going on the front. But obviously this is intended to be, like I say, not necessarily a tech pouch, but more of an over the shoulder thing. So as I say, that one, full disclosure, is from Ulanzi to check out, but here is what it looks like on the inside. So yeah, that is where I'm up to with a rundown of the Ulanzi products that I currently own. As I say, I've got a lot of a lot of others that are pending that I've just got to pull the trigger on. Starbucks will not allow you to mount your 3 screens to the table. You know what? Actually, there's another device. Speaking about that, mounting multiple screens. I don't know if you've seen it for if you've got a laptop and it fits basically like over the top of your laptop screen, but then it's got 2 screens that are behind it that you can then basically pull out the screens from either side. So you could have a 3 monitor mobile setup actually just with your laptop. There's another great product from what is it? 12 South, I think it's called. Let me have a look and see if I can find this. Which is for mounting an iPod, so to the side of your screen. I think it's 12 South. Let me see. iPad mount. What's it called now? I've got one of these. I just don't have one of them to hand. Is it 12 South or is it someone else? Let's have a look. iPad laptop mount. Get there at the end. It's something like this. Yeah, this is the one. So it's this thing here. I'll just drop it into Ecamm. There we go. Look at that. I think it's called Mounty. Oh, 10.1 Design is the thing. Let me just go to their site and I'll grab the thing. 10.1 Design is the site, and it's called I think it's called Mounty Plus. But what it is it clips onto the side of your monitor, and then I'm just going to drop this in. It's on their homepage. I'll drop this into the chat. Yeah, and it clips onto the side of your monitor, and then you can clip your iPad to it and your iPhone. So I do actually have these as well when I'm out, but they work really great. They clamp to the side of the computer and then clamp to the iPad. I think you can see how those work. I've just got to figure out how to get this off my screen. There we go. Yeah, those are really solid and well built. So if you are looking for a mobile solution with multiple screens, then just using your iPad with Sidecar or 2 iPads with Sidecar can work. I know you're only joking, Michael, but nevertheless, you can do that. The low pro bags, yes, they're always great. I've got a great low pro bag that is my. Let me just go and grab it 1 sec. This is my my low pro bag, but the reason why it's extra special is because it is my Ecamm Mod Squad bag. But yeah, the low pro make great sort of camera bags and camera gear bags. So yeah, that is my out and about bag with my my camera gear. Yeah, if you want a 32 and 43 inch screen, yeah, Starbucks may have a slight issue with that. Have you thought of a projector? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Show it to Starbucks. You get your little laptop out, sit close to a wall, and then just pull out a little projector. And you've got some privacy concerns there, but yeah. So yeah, that is my little rundown of the Ulanzi products that I use in and around my office. And as I say, it was just prompted by the fact that I was making this video about this little Ulanzi fan, which has made a big difference in that I don't have to necessarily worry about my camera switching off. But I realized that, yeah, I am using a lot of Ulanzi stuff. Incidentally, Ulanzi is my sort of go-to for all of these small little pieces around the studio that hold things together. Another company that I rarely mention, but is the equivalent for cables, is Ugreen. I just got another delivery yesterday of a load of them. But yeah, Ugreen for cables. They make really great cables, connectors. I've got an HDMI splitter that I use for splitting from one monitor into that in-stream device. I also do a thing with my main monitor where I'm actually splitting my HDMI from my main monitor and taking that back into the computer as a webcam, so that with Ecamm I'm actually sharing the screen. Rather than doing it like this one here, rather than doing an actual screen share, this is actually a split off of my my monitor, then going back into my computer over a cam link. So Ecamm is seeing this as a camera rather than a screen share. And there's a couple of reasons I do that. So one of the primary ones is because I demo Ecamm a lot. If I want to show a particular window of Ecamm, you can obviously bring that window into Ecamm itself as, you know, just as a screen share overlay, select the Ecamm window, and then you can have it pop up on the screen. But you don't get your little mouse pointer over the top of it. Whereas this way, I can just do a screen share and show a very specific set of Ecamm controls like this, for example, and still get Pro Mouse. That would not be possible without doing this little method because, of the way that Ecamm works and what it allows you to do. The other thing, though, is that with Ecamm, or with anything actually, when you're doing screen sharing, it's a lot more processor heavy. So actually bringing it in as a camera is a lot sort of lower processor impact than doing it through a screen share. So that's just one of the reasons I do that. But anyway, so that is a Ugreen splitter that I'm using for that. All of the cables I've got around the place. So the HDMI cables that I'm using, XLR cables as well, although Rode did send me a very nice package which included more XLR cables than I'm going to need in my lifetime, so I do tend to use those ones now. But yeah, every other sort of cable in the studio is always Ugreen. They make really great quality products. They actually just bought out as well, whilst we are talking about little random tech gear, they actually bought out a what do they call it? A display link hub. So this thing of being able to run multiple monitors on a Mac and requiring, you know, there's a limit to how many monitors you can actually physically use with a regular Mac. So 2 on the Mac Mini, for example. So you need to have a hub that has got display link capability, and then you use this little display link app to then connect, you know, as many monitors as you want, or not quite, but more monitors. So Ugreen bought out this display link dock. I get dock and hub mixed up sometimes, but it is a display link dock is the word that I'm looking for, and it is. So where's it gone? There we go. It's this one here. So given that there are, you know, there's a lot of these with CalDigit and so on. So this is the this one that's got display link. It's not got loads of ports on it, but it has got a couple of HDMIs on there, and then a display port as well. Display port, not to be confused with display link. Display port is that socket that looks like an HDMI, but with one flat side and one sort of with a little chamfered edge. But display link is the technology that it's got on board that allows you to connect multiple monitors. So that is that's that display link just there. So yeah, these docks, there's quite a few of them around. I actually use a Wavelink is the dock that I use. Is there a link for Ugreen? Hello, David, by the way. Sorry, I'll have to say hello. Great to see you here. Is there a link for Ugreen? I haven't got like an affiliate link or anything like that, but I do just use them for everything. But ugreen.com, you'll find all of their stuff. I'll just drop it into the chat. But they are on, they're on Amazon and everywhere like that. So, and the app that I use to buy all of these little cables and stuff usually is, we've got a thing here in Southeast Asia called Lazada, and so there's just like a Ugreen store in there. So they're on speed dial, as it were. Yeah, but Ugreen are great for that. I'm just looking at this weird thing. What the hell is this? The Ugreen Nexode RG Go Up Charging. What the hell is that? That does look quite cute. It is a 5-port fast charger that looks so sweet. But here they've got a load of other stuff. The other thing I've got is these fast chargers as well. So like the things that I'm plugging in on my desk are all plugged into something like this as well. So they're just a high-powered USB charger. And I've got a few of these for traveling. Look at that. That is just the cutest. Battery power banks as well. They do all of that. But yeah, it's just one of these things that people don't talk about these sort of companies too much, like, Ulanzi and Ugreen, but they're actually what I use for all of the other stuff in my studio, apart from, the regular kind of things like cameras and Stream Decks and Roadcasters and all the kind of main stuff that we talk about. These ones as well, I've got a couple of these that are for my my laptop. I've also got one that I've literally I nearly said something that I shouldn't say then. I've got something that I ordered, which is to allow me to plug in a USB into the iPad, and it's effectively a USB-C dock or hub for the iPad that then gives you multiple USB inputs and headphone jack input or output, and then also pass through for power. So there's this great one that's just like a strip that fits on the bottom of the iPad. Some really interesting things happening with iPad with the new iOS beta. I'll leave it there, but yeah, some really interesting things happening. So having more inputs and outputs on the iPad is a great feature. Anyway, there we go. I will wrap it up there. For anybody watching on the replay, though, I'll leave a link to some of my other studio videos over here on the right hand side, and feel free to let me know in the comments or the chat any cool new tech gear that you're using.